First of all, what can we tell the Minister that we asked them? You tell me, what can we tell the Minister from what we know already about farmer field schools and effectiveness? What can we tell them? Sarah, who's back to speak, weren't you?
Yeah, so that we think they're effective in improving farmers' knowledge.
Yes.
And we think that they're effective in disseminating, the
Productivity.
That was it, productivity, but that it's not effective in disseminating knowledge or
Very good.
pesticide use.
And for the qualitative data, what things might we want to tell the Minister? We've taken the slide down, but the social capital point and the targeting, for instance. What might you say about that? Like I'll help you. What we're saying is, by the way, Minister, it doesn't appear to work for all people and all communities. That's quite important. It's going to be more effective where there's a higher level of social capital, by which we mean the more education people bring to the task, the better. Excuse me. We happen to know that the age matters. The age, anybody over 50 does less well in farmer field schools than those under that age and even younger. So that's another factor we can put into it. And that you can target it on those people who have access to business networks. For instance, getting the seeds. There's no point knowing about how to use seeds if you don't have access to them. So we can start building in some facilitating factors to get over the barriers to these things working. And that's what I would be putting into my one-page brief. I'd be building that up. Now, for you to do that in real life, we've got to give you some more materials. Now, this systematic review that we did, the full review is just under 400 pages. We have another 200 pages of graphs, tabulations, and all sorts of nonsense, okay? So that's not going to help you. That will probably never be read by anybody other than the people in my office and our mums who tend to read this stuff, okay? So our Minister's not going to read it, our Chief Scientific Officer's not going to read it, probably, and our policymaker ain't going to read it. So we have now written a 25-page summary of that, and that's what we want you to find now. So can you type into get your browser up, get your browsers up and type in the number 3 and then IE, 3IE impact. Do you want to do a demo on the? Oh, you don't like Macs. So. I'm sorry, sound man. I'll move back. We need to put the internet. It's first. I can do it. Just put 3IE in there. Right. You should get something like this. Click on it. Click on it, and you should get the first page of the 3IE website. Yep, and people got that. So go to Find Evidence tab, and it should give you these 4 briefs we talked about. Please tick on the Systematic Reviews database and just pause for a minute when we get there. Could you just scroll down before we search? Scroll down a little bit. Okay, so it tells me there's 303 summaries of systematic reviews. This was done a couple of months ago. It's probably about 315 now, because we've got a number of reviews that once we get them, we do this. We write a 1-page summary about what that evidence suggests. So if you can go down for a second. I'm sorry, we haven't done it yet. Sorry, that's not correct. Sorry, it's the next page. So where's the search? There we go. Would you write in the browser here, farmer field schools? Farmer field schools, and return it. Right, and the very top one, fortunately, is the one we've been talking about. The one, and I'm only talking about it because I know it because I was involved in it. There are others, you will see. So if you would now click on the top line, and it'll take you to another page, and we're going to scroll down. So this tells us the title of it, who has done it, these are the authors, you'll see my name crops up here, the regions that we've covered, and it's pretty exhaustive in the Global South, and the sectors, this is agriculture and rural development and education. Keep going. We in 3IE have written a 1-page summary of the evidence. that we think is the summary. This is our interpretation. You can do what you like with it. We've tried to tell you what we think the headline findings are. We've tried to describe the evidence base. Could you go down more, please? We got some policy colleagues to help us write what are the policy implications, because don't get academics to write policy implications. They know nothing about it. Okay? Nothing. You get, well, they may know a little bit, but it'll be wrong. You must get a policy or a practice colleague to do this bit, because they won't understand the context. Keep going. The implications for further research. For instance, we have found these huge gaps in the literature, we need to invest in whatever. Then we give a little bit about the background. Where did farmer field schools come from in the policy world, okay? A little bit about the research objectives that we found, a bit more about the methodology. So this is now a 2-pager, and at the bottom of it, this is what I want you to see, we always put a quality assessment. What is the quality of this review? Now, although it was done by us, and this is our website, it was actually externally peer reviewed, and they were kind enough to say this is a high quality systematic review, and it tells you why and what the good things are about the review. Now, if I was working, I'd either print this off or I'd certainly bookmark it, because this is giving me a source of how we've interpreted the evidence, but you've got to make your own minds up. So we do one other thing, we click on this here, and this is the 25-page summary, okay? And this is what I would ask you to read to make your mind up as to what we are going to tell our minister. Okay? You've got what we think, and now you're going to read it. And of course, if you want to go to the source material, the 480-page, whatever it is, it's somewhere on there. It's one of these, it tells you where to find it. Now, would you click on we're going to download it very briefly. If you click on the download, you'll get it. And if we scroll down to the contents page. So what we did here, this was Howard White and myself, Hugh Waddington, our senior researcher. We tried, and we got other people to write it in non-technical, non-academic language, which is very hard because all three of us are academics, but all of us have worked in policy environments. So we tried to give you things in 2- and 3-page chunks. What are farmer field schools? How are they designed? How they work on the theory of change, that's somewhat esoteric, but chapter 6 is the one I would direct you to. What differences do farmer field schools make? And between pages 17 and 21, so in 4 pages, we give you a summary of what the original document said. And at each point you can cross over to the original if you want it. And some people do, some people don't. If we could get to chapter 6, Alex, you just have to scroll down. There's a quick way on the map, but keep going, you're doing it brilliantly. Here we go. At the top of it, what difference is it? We've again said what we think of the chapter highlights. We've picked out what we think of the take-home messages. But you've got to decide. It's your document, it's your minister. And you will see that we've tried to do just 2 or 3 paragraphs of the key take-home messages we want to get over in a non-technical language to our minister, who has been waiting now for an hour and a half, but you've got 3 days to do it. So we hope that from what we've gained from Sarah's summary, from the forest plots we've shown you, from the 1- and 2-pager I've shown you, and from this longer 25-pager, you should have enough material to write an informed brief for your minister by 3 days' time. You've got 3 days to write it now, or 2.5. You spent half a day finding it. Now, if we could do that for every topic that a minister confronts, I think we would be in a much more evidence-based position. And it's based on the totality of evidence in the sector over 20 years using different methodologies. I think you'd agree that's a fairly good evidence base to proceed, and it's certainly better than fingers in the wind, and it's better than, oh, I know this chap at such and such university, he knows about farmer field schools, which is the way not to do it. Because 10 to 1, he has not, or she has not engaged with the evidence for the last 5 years, 10 years, or even ever. And that's a danger we make. This is trying to get away from relying on experts I'm not against relying on experts, but the expert has got to be up to speed with the evidence. Which leads me to my final point on this. We should be doing this again now, because since we've done this review, there will be another 100 evaluations that have come into the field. So the maxim we have is that every review should be reviewed every year, and it never is. We just don't have the time or the resources. So I ask you to look at when it was last reviewed. This was 2014, that's reasonably up to date. We often find systematic reviews that haven't been looked at from 2009, 2004, 1997. So when you get an older review and 10 are up, they may not be up to date. And that's why we're appealing to get resources to not only do systematic reviews and rapid evidence assessments and evidence gap maps, but to constantly, in real time, be updating them so that we have a real-time database in which to work to establish evidence.
When you have a question, it doesn't matter what it is, please let's check for bodies of evidence first. There's this tendency for more is more, so if I can list 8 studies, then I'm clearly on the right track. Let's try and move away from that. We're not suggesting you go away and start doing systematic reviews, because that's not going to happen. But for me, it's about a shift in the way we think about evidence. So we're looking at the whole body of evidence as opposed to individual studies. That to me is a big leap towards, improving evidence-informed policymaking.
And please don't try and do a systematic review. They're a teamwork between 5 and 10 people, pretty trained, and even they take a year to a year and a half. But you could certainly think about commissioning one or saying, let's start off with the rapid evidence assessment. Give me that first, or give me a gap map, then do the rapid evidence assessment. And if you've got the cash and the procurement opportunity, go for the full-blown review. I said this morning, it's a parallel with what Crick and Watson did with DNA. You wouldn't say to Crick and Watson, your work's useless because it can't be done in 3 weeks, okay? It took them a long time to work that out. We have now got DNA knowledge, which has transformed our knowledge of science and of human and animal living, okay? Because they put in the 5-year legwork, and I don't know what they spent, whether it was £10 or $1 million, I have no idea. But somebody has to do that building of science. That's what systematic reviews are. The rapids and the evidence bases are much more about doing it for real-time policy making. That's the distinction.